Gospel according to John, chapter 12. Then Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then saith one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and had the bag and bare what was put therein. Then said Jesus, Let her alone. Against the day of my burying hath she kept this. For the poor always ye have with you, but me ye have not always. Much people of the Jews therefore knew that he was there, and they came not for Jesus' sake only, but that they might see Lazarus also, whom he had raised from the dead. But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death, because that by reason of him many of the Jews went away and believed on Jesus. On the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. And Jesus, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written, Fear not, daughter of Zion. Behold, the King cometh, sitting on an ass's colt. These things understood not his disciples at the first. But when Jesus was glorified, then remembered they that these things were written of him, and that they had done these things unto him. The people therefore that was with him, when he called Lazarus out of his grave and raised him from the dead, bear record. For this cause the people also met him, for that they heard that he had done this miracle. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, Perceive ye how ye prevail nothing? Behold, the world is gone after him. And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Jesus. Philip cometh and telleth Andrew, and again Andrew and Philip tell Jesus. And Jesus answered them, saying, The hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serve me, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. Now is my soul troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this cause came I unto this hour. Father, glorify thy name. Then came there a voice from heaven, saying, I have both glorified it, and will glorify it again. The people therefore that stood by and heard it said that it thundered. Others said, An angel spake to him. Jesus answered and said, This voice came not because of me, but for your sakes. Last time, we read that Jesus didn't go out in public anymore around the Jewish leaders. But now is his time. What time? What did we read? 6 days before the Passover feast that the Jews celebrated every year, Jesus came back to Bethany. Remember, Bethany is where the siblings, Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, lived. As the men sat around the table, including Lazarus, Mary came in and rubbed the feet of Jesus with oil. When she was finished, she dried the expensive oil off of his feet with her hair. Now, we don't know exactly what was going through Mary's mind as she did this, but what is clear is that this was a sign of humility and total commitment. This oil was expensive. Mary wanted to give everything to Jesus. How did Jesus view this act? In chapter 12, verse 7, Jesus said, "Against the day of my burying hath she kept this." Here, Jesus is giving his disciples a clue about what would happen in the next week: his death. Now is the time. The hour is come. The crowds were so happy that Jesus had come back out in public. They laid palm branches on the ground and cried, "Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord." They did this as Jesus rode into town on the back of a donkey. Now here is something interesting. More than 400 years before this happened, the prophet Zechariah wrote in the Old Testament in Zechariah 9:9, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass, and upon a colt, the foal of an ass." Now, 400 years after Zechariah wrote that, Jesus comes riding on a donkey into Jerusalem. Do you remember how Jesus has often said, "My hour is not yet come"? Now that has changed. What did Jesus say in John 12, verse 23? "The hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified." Now is his time. His hour is here. The book of John still has 9 chapters, but they almost all talk about the last week of Jesus. We will follow Jesus a little through this week as we continue to read the Gospel of John together here on Young Theologians.